Hello and welcome back to Memoriapolis, a game that shows you what it'd be like if Sid Meier were to design a city builder. In the previous video, we progressed to the Age of Antiquity, building a city with primarily commerce-minded factions, though we began to invite some education-minded factions near the end of the age. We experimented with politics and added a number of cultural buildings to our city, and even built 2 world wonders on our way to becoming the capital of capitals. And now it's time to progress to medieval times. No, not that one. The one with plagues and riots, but also the one with massive technological and societal progress. And at the end of this age, we'll find out how our playthrough went and get a score. And I'm curious to know if you guys are going to beat me or not. So drop that down in the comments if you've played the game. And if you didn't beat me, you probably beat me at speaking Latin, because I am bad. This is our census building, a Goic Center, and then for the Skula, Trojan Forum. Oh, embarrassingly bad. But I appreciate your patience with me. So without any further ado, let's jump right back in. Before we progress to the next age, we are confronted with a series of choices that could completely alter the course of history. The first one is right here, the threat of Macedonia II. The Greek cities that we helped defend themselves against Alexander the Great have now formed the Hellenic Kingdom, and they are dreaming of conquest themselves. They want to take over the Roman Empire, and we have to decide whether or not we want to support that. If we do support that, we'll condemn Rome, we'll lose a trade route, and we'll get safety and belonging bonuses, and a new trade route with the Greek. If we decide to stop the madness of the Hellenic Kingdom, we will lose a trade route, get a bunch of materials, and get a trade route with Rome. Bluntly, I know how to get materials. I don't know how to get some of these bonuses, or I'm not as good at that. So I think that we will condemn the Romans and allow the Greeks to take over most of Europe. Then we'll get a score for the previous age, and a couple of things jump out to me here. We lost a bunch of points by not building wonders, we lost some points by not building cultural buildings, and we lost some points by not improving our faction trust. So I want to focus on wonder building, building lots of cultural buildings, and making sure that we have a lot going on in our Senate to improve the satisfaction trust. And you can see that for the antiquity, I got a score of 66 out of 100. I want to know if you guys are playing this game, if you beat me or not. And now we have a family interlude. It's been hundreds of years since the family's had a notable leader, but that hasn't stopped it from remaining in control of the town. To make the best of it, she thought it best to focus on, and we get to select a faction or factions to focus on, and we'll get some bonuses based upon that. We get some building plans, some trust boosts, and some gold coins. Now, if I select one, I get the full bonus. So we have commerce-focused factions and a couple of education-focused factions. I have a feeling that it's going to be best for us to select just one of these. If we select 2, though we double our gold coins and our building plans, we lose that trust bonus. So I'm thinking if we don't want to do as much with politics, we only select one faction, and it's going to be this commercial faction because we have like 5 of them. And then we have the erosion of time. The passage of time leaves lasting traces on the city's infrastructure. Some buildings become obsolete, others are abandoned by their owners for various reasons. But not all historical heritage is lost. We can select one building to preserve for free. Now, bluntly, I think that we can rebuild all of these, so it doesn't really matter, but it seems like the theater has more of these different satisfactions related to it. So maybe this makes the most sense to focus on because it'll help us in the most broad way. And then finally, we have to choose our destiny. We're faced with a choice: continue in the footsteps of our ancestors or embark upon a completely new life path. So these are the bonuses that we get. In the previous age, we were a craftsman because we got 25% more resources. So I think that we are going to continue upon the craftsman path because we could have mines and quarries that harvest an additional resource, but we could select any of these and we still retain that natural resource bonus. But because this is still our first playthrough, let's make sure that it's easy to build things. So we will proceed in this direction. All right, first things first, we've got to place our medieval city center. Now for this, it's the same rules as some of our wonders last time. We've got to be close to this, but not on it. Now, I think that we've really got 3 places that we can go. We can go down here near the beach, but I'm a little bit concerned about the amount of space that we have. We can go over here on the other side, which might be tight as well because we have the forest. And then the other spot that we could go is over here. And I think, honestly, this is probably our best bet because we have a bunch of space to build in. So I'm going to rotate this thing towards the road. And this is legitimately as far away as I can get. So we will build it right here. But the first thing it wants us to do is upgrade our city center. Now for this, it's really bricks and rubbles that we need. So I want to focus right away on trying to upgrade all of our old buildings, including some of these cultural buildings that we didn't select to maintain. So for these, it looks like it's wood and stone is all that we need to improve these. And with that in mind, before we do this, let's go through all of our buildings and upgrade them as much as we can before we use all those resources. So right here, it's iron is our limitation. For our cutting camp, it is gold. And I think this is telling me something that I noticed at the end of the last age, which is that we need a small mine so we can get iron and gold. So let's unlock this right away. And then going up the chain, I think we actually have the materials for level 2. This will give us a 50% radius boost and a 50% yield boost. So we will do this. And I'm going to see how high up the chain we can go. And I'll try to upgrade these things as quickly as possible. We can do this one as well. And here's where it starts to get tough. For small mine level 4, we need a lot of stone. So I'm going to, let's hold off. That's a lot of building permits. Let's also get an upgrade to our architectural office so we produce more building permits. We actually have all the materials for this right away. And let's see, for the upgrade after that, we need some of our gold leaves, which we don't have yet, or we need, and steel, which we also don't have. Now for our quarry level 3, we need 80 iron. We're going to be building some mines, no problem. For our farm, we need gold. Let's do that. And then for our cutting camp, gold once again. Now, the whole idea there is that hopefully we can maximize what we've already built without building new stuff. So now let's go ahead and build a couple of these mines. Now we've got to look and see where our resources are. For gold, it looks like we've got a lot around the base of this mountain right here. We've also got some down here, but I think that's a bit too far to reach, and some down here as well. For iron, honestly, it looks like it's kind of the same locations, but this spot right here looks kind of exceptional for both. So let's build some mines. And we've got this rocky area that we can't build in. And if we're too far outside of the white zone, it slows down our production. So I think we'll go right here. It's not ideal, but with some upgrades, this should work really well. So we'll do iron for this one. Oh boy. And because of where this is, we're not getting great production if we go out here. I'm wondering if I can build one of these out here. And then around this, I will place one of the mines. The big thing that you'll notice is when we're outside of the lighter radius zone, our construction time is increased by a lot and our production is reduced by a lot. So my goal is to place this within one of those white zones, which is why we built one of our proximity buildings. So I'm going to place this right about here, and this will eventually be in a good place and we'll get gold from this. And I'm going to focus on upgrading those so I won't overbuild. We'll just make sure that those get upgraded. And this right here, this small quarry, we have to switch resources because we're out of sand. So we'll go after clay, which there's a lot of right there. We will have to figure out sand as well. So we'll build one more small quarry, and I'm hoping that we can place this right about over here. So now you can see that we are producing gold for the first time, and I'm going to go right away over here and start to upgrade these as soon as I can. And it looks like stone is our limitation, and that's because we are building a bunch of rubbles. I'm going to see if we can upgrade our quarry, which we can do. So we will do that, and I may even try to build another one. And while we were doing that, we received news of the fall of Constantinople. An out-of-breath messenger brings you worrying news. The Ottomans are besieging the Byzantines in Constantinople, while the Timurids are threatening towns close to the Ottoman borders. Your advisors recommend that you inform the Byzantines of their advantage in attacking the besiegers. You can also negotiate with the Ottomans in exchange for your support against Constantinople, or strengthen your own defenses to avoid war. Now for these, we've got 3 options. If we support Constantinople, we get some bricks and tiles and some food. Food we could probably use. We could also support the Ottomans, get precious stones and gold coins. Don't really care about that. Or barricade ourselves and get a bunch of steel and iron. honestly, that's probably the way I want to go because I don't know how to produce steel, and this will probably come in handy. Now, food is still an issue, and this has brought this to my attention. So let's upgrade some of these farms, and I'm going to upgrade as many as I can, and it'll probably put us in a bit of a precarious situation for just a moment, but ultimately it's worth it. And as we do this, we have another faction that wants to move in. This is another educationally minded faction. This will bring us to 4. We are going to take it. And I'm going to see if we can start to convert our community over. Again, let's see if we can upgrade our quarry. And for this one, we need more wood. And we'll do that right away. So this thing should be a powerhouse. Tons of resources. And that should really work out in our favor soon. Now we get more news about the fall of Constantinople. The Ottoman Sultan was informed of the Timurid's presence on his borders, and most of his soldiers turned back to defend the kingdom. For its part, Constantinople took advantage of the moment of respite to ask its allies for help. Neutrality was outlawed. The turmoil is felt in adjacent countries. So we need to figure out if we want to support Constantinople or the Ottomans. And reasonably, I want materials and food. I think that that's probably the smart way to go. Even though we have no precious stones or gold, I think we've got to trade those, I would assume, for them to be of value, which we're not really doing a ton of right now. So we'll take the materials. The reason I care about this is it's going to overload us with the rubbles. What that's going to do for us is allow us to start banking some stone. I'm also going to build another quarry. And I want to build this because we're not producing enough for our needs. And reasonably, this is kind of an area that we've filled up with uses that no one wants to be next to. And we've stuffed them behind one of our wonders, which is amazing. This is not the greatest location for this, but I'm hoping that we can upgrade it to the point that it becomes a great location for this. And we've got another faction that wants to join us. We're going to go for it. We'll upgrade that quarry, and then I'll upgrade it one more time. Now that right there is supercharging our production, and that makes me think that while I'm doing this, and while I'm supercharging production, I should also focus on our cutting camp and maybe add one of those over here as well. No harm in it, and we'll upgrade this thing as far as we can. Once again, we're notified about the fall of Constantinople, and it looks like the Ottomans have rid themselves of the threat to their frontier, and they're on the road to Constantinople with a new sultan, Mehmed II. His army is undoubtedly larger and more determined than that of his father, so we have to decide who we're going to support, Constantinople or the Ottomans. Now, we could get a ton of materials here if we support the Ottomans, lots of precious stones and gold coins, or a few tiles and a little bit of steel and a little bit of food. I think we're going to be good people and continue to support Constantinople. It seems like what we should do, even if supporting the Ottomans would give us a bunch of precious stones. Another upgrade to our cutting camp over here. We've got another faction that wants to move in. This is a religious-minded faction, and I'm going to say no. I'm a little concerned about food, and I'm also concerned about what this is going to do to the balance of power, so we will reject them. And we have more notifications from Constantinople. It looks like the mercenary that we hired has answered the call because he wants the riches that we've promised him and the riches from Constantinople. He's assembled over 700 mercenaries and 2 ships to help resist the Ottoman attacks. The final assault is underway, and we have to figure out who we are going to support. And if we support Constantinople, we get a little bit of food, some rubbles, some bricks. We are going to go that route. The precious stones, they sound nice, but we're going to stand pat and do the right thing, which is honor our word. Now, while we are honoring our word, I'm going to upgrade these mines. And I'm going to see if we can upgrade our quarry. We can. And one more upgrade to this small mine. And in short order, we will upgrade the other one as well. I'm going to hold off on that, though. We are a little ways away from the production. And what I want to focus on now is coming back over to these cultural buildings, and we're going to try to restore them. So for this, we just have to go and give a little bit of wood and stone. And while we were waiting to upgrade these, we can see that the last Ottoman is dead. The Sultan has nowhere to be found. The soldiers are stunned. Constantinople has once again repelled the invaders, but at what cost? So many lives have been lost and resources expended to survive just one more day. That said, there's not much that we can do besides accept the situation. So we've helped Constantinople exist. There we go. But we do have another faction that wants to move in. This is an educational faction, and this will actually give us 100% equilibrium between our two factions. So we will accept them. And then once again, rebuild our final cultural building. So that is all of them rebuilt. Now, we're supposed to be upgrading our medieval city center, and we've done legitimately nothing with it. Now, for this, it looks like our limiting factor here is bricks. So let's... Oh, which apparently we have enough of right now. So we will build this improvement, which will take us 10 turns. I am curious, though, for our brickwork, we're at level 1. I'm going to pick up the blueprints to improve this because I'm a bit concerned that this is going to become a bottleneck. And it looks like we could probably go all the way to level 4 with little issue, biggest issue being our blueprints. Now, we've just used a ton of blueprints, and that makes me want to take a look at our architectural office, but we have to wait because we just finished chapter 1. We have access to the master builder's office, the library, and House of Grievances. So this is going to be a political building, a building that helps us research things, and a building that helps us to specify our districts and enable urban planning policies. And of course, I love that, so we will do that in short order. But first, like I mentioned, I want to take a look at our architectural office because we are going to start to expend a lot of blueprints. So we've got to upgrade this as quickly as we can so we can start to generate more blueprints quickly. Now, we've got 2 goals right now. We need to build the House of Grievances, and there's a side quest which says to evolve a cultural building. And it looks like we have to unlock some blueprints to be able to do this. We've got our House of Grievances, which is what we need to build. So we'll do that. We're going to need our master builder in our library as well. If I can unlock these, you better believe that we will. We got our master builder, but not the library just yet. For our House of Grievances, bricks are the limiting factor. So let's upgrade our brickwork so that we produce more of these. And oh my goodness, we ran out of food. We've got to fix this right away. Now we can't upgrade to level 4 because we don't have gold leaves just yet. So I'm going to build another farm or 2. I was really worried about this, and I probably should have built these a little bit sooner. Now, I'm going to try to not encroach upon this area at all. So we'll build our new farms on the periphery out here. Okay, so with that, we should get into a positive place with food soon, and I will evolve these farms right away. And as our food situation was resolving, we have another notice. This morning, the town is in a state of panic. The Black Death is threatening every town in the region. The population is crying out for urgent measures to contain the plague, and families are ready to flee to safe lands. So we have 3 options. We can research a cure ourselves. We can split people that are infected from those that are not infected, which will have some negative impacts in terms of health. Or we can mobilize foreign doctors, which will cost us a ton of money. But we've got a lot, so I think we're going to do that. And then another faction wants to move in, another education faction, and we better build some amenities for these folks so they don't get mad at us. We will accept them in. Now, I'm going to build another improvement to our brickworks, and this is because we are running out of bricks. And then because we've been accepting so many educationally minded factions, I really feel like we need to build our university, which we do have the materials for. Before we place this though, let's see where these factions are. And we can do that by going up into our options and going to our faction filter. And you can see they're all basically right here. So it's in our best interest to either one of 2 things. We can either place that over here to try to get them to move to this location, or we can continue to build out in our old town. And honestly, the most benefit's going to come by building it right over here. So I think that we'll do that. And this is relatively small, so I should be able to sneak it in. One of the unfortunate things is that it's telling me I can't build this on roads. I hope that in future versions of this game, we can eliminate roads, but right now we can't. And we have a bit more information about the Black Death. It looks like we've escaped the Black Death because we paid a lot of money. And that's a good situation in my mind, so we're good. Even though we've maxed out our brickworks right here, we're just not producing all that many. So I'm going to build another one right next to this thing and max it out. Okay, and now we are finally starting to bank some of our bricks, which we're going to need because we need a bunch for both our House of Grievances and our Master Builder. So I'm going to build the House of Grievances over here. And I wonder, we'll give them a nice view of the water. Actually, no, this is a government building. We'll just keep it close to town. And then we have enough to build our Master Builder right away. So I'm going to add that to the other side. We'll have these anchoring this new community. Let's go ahead and unlock some more blueprints for some cultural buildings and try to make the factions that we are trying to attract here happy. So I'm going to unlock the guild. Again, this is good for our commercial folks. And then I'm going to unlock the malice as well. We are likely going to start to have some politically minded folks here, considering we're adding all of these political buildings near this new community. Then I also want to look at the library. It's the third building, this third service building that we need. And we now have enough blueprints for that as well. And now after building our House of Grievances, we have reached chapter 3 and unlocked a whole bunch of buildings. We will go after these, but that is going to have to happen in a little bit. I'm going to slow things down though. We are blasting through this age, and that's making me a bit concerned considering we have no wonders just yet. So we have to build our Master Builder's office to get through chapter 3. We're almost there. Then we have to modify a district. But I want to vote first to try to get people liking us a bit. And I'm going to see if there's anything that has a high chance of going through. Considering we have education-minded folks and commerce-minded folks, I would think that these are the ways to go. But it looks like our chance of success is incredibly low, which I think I've got to build more buildings for them before they're going to vote for us. That must be the issue. So we'll take a beat on that. And instead, we'll set up some buildings. So the Wheelwright Workshop is going to improve culture. I'm going to build this in between and maybe bridge the gap between these two communities. And then we can also build our guild. And I'm not sure who actually likes this one, but we are going to place it. Wow, this thing is massive. I think that we'll have to place this one in this city. And we're going to have this kind of half circle of service buildings and cultural buildings. Now this one is incredibly attractive, so I'm hoping this draws a ton of people over here. So now we've built our Master Builder's office and we have to modify a district. So for this, we'll open the panel and then I think we just select a district and we can change a lot of stuff. This is super cool. So we can decide what we want it to look like, which will have an impact on how many people can actually be there. So if I were to choose one of these red tile roofed places, we would evict 70 people out of here, which we obviously don't want to do. We could also decide how much open space there is here. So if we want plaza areas, we could reduce this. So maybe we actually want to do that in some of these districts that are approaching some of our larger buildings. So I'm going to modify a couple of these. We'll evict some folks out of here. But I think that maybe this isn't the most important place for this to happen. I think maybe the important place is to come back over here and modify this area. So we can now upgrade these to have middle-age homes, and that adds the potential for 52 more residents in that district alone. I'm going to change all of these. And if you're a historic preservationist, you're probably upset with me. But here's the thing. I think we need population. Okay, I believe that is 100% of our districts modified. And when we resume this, we should start to see the population jump up from the 5.6 thousand that we currently have. And it immediately jumped by 100, but I'm not sure if that was just the natural progress that we would normally see or it's because of our district changes. But well, I'll keep an eye on that. Now it looks like we have to build our library next. And for this one, we are short sand and bricks. I want to come back over here because yeah, we can upgrade this once more and we should, because I don't want to run out of sand. We have another faction that wants to move in. They are commerce minded, so we will accept them as we always do. And then I was thinking we should probably build another quarry. We've been building additional production for everything except for our sand. So why wouldn't we do that? So I'm going to try to place that over in this location. And I can basically get away with it over here. This is not a great location, but it will do the trick, and we'll grab some sand from over here. And much like our other production buildings, I will upgrade these as quickly as I can. And while we are waiting, we might as well grab some more building plans that'll make our factions happy. Now, for our educational factions, I think we got one building right here. So we will unlock this one. This will get us the Crier's house. That's interesting. And then I wonder, under proximity buildings, we have some upgrades here that we can now add. So I'm going to unlock that one. And for this one, it's those gold leaves again. And it looks like we can finally build the goldsmith and the forge. So let's build those right away. And these are very unattractive. So I will keep these again kind of over in this unattractive district. And there's our forge and our goldsmith. So this opens up a lot for us. We'll have to pursue that in a second because now our medieval fortress can be improved, and you better believe that we're going to do that. So the reason why this is so important for us is we can now upgrade all of our farms. So we're going to do that in a moment, but we have another faction that wants to move in. This is our first political faction, and I think that we are going to accept them. And maybe we just start accepting a lot of factions at this point and just trying to balance. We'll try to balance it. I'm going to go back into our building chain, and I want to go after this last upgrade that we have here for our farm. This requires our gold leaves, which we now have access to. And now that we've unlocked that, I'm going to go through and upgrade as many farms as I can. And I'm going to try to build our library now. We've got all the materials, and once again, we'll continue our little half circle around this town. I'm going to pull this one a ways out though and try to fill in the gap right here. Now I want to build some more cultural buildings. We've got a whole bunch available to us. Unfortunately, it seems like workers are our limiting factor now, so we need to grow. We have another faction that wants to move in. They are a religious faction. I will accept one. Maybe we'll have one of each kind as they ask, and then I don't take any more of the other types outside of our education and commerce factions. Now I'm doing this because we need workers, and this is improving our population. We've actually grown about 1,000 from the last time that I looked, which is really, really helpful. So now I'm going to look at our factions again. Our religious factions right here. So we should place a religious building near them. And then our other factions are all over here, which is really fascinating. So I'm going to build another education building over here. And I don't think that this matters that it's no longer inside of the walls. We will place that right here. And then we have to go look at our library and activate a know-how to get through chapter 4. And for this, we've got 3 available to us and I think 3 slots. So we'll just activate all of them. And what this does, they each have different effects. This one improves our blueprint generation. You better believe we're going to activate that one. This one reduces the purchase price of commercial resources. Don't think that one really matters for what we're doing right now. And then we can get passive coin from our trade routes. Again, we don't have many, so I don't know that that matters a ton. Oh, shoot. There are more, and I totally missed these. Thankfully, they're locked, so we don't have to worry about those at all. So that gets us to chapter 6, and we get to choose a wonder finally. Thank goodness. I want to get working on these. And we have to choose between either Windsor Castle and Notre Dame, and we'll have access to Oxford University. Now, I'm going to be honest. I think that Notre Dame is probably going to look cooler, so we're going to probably go for that one. Although Windsor Castle also seems very neat. In terms of what they provide us, Windsor Castle gives us more safety, while Notre Dame gives us an additional choice for family interludes. Now, thinking back to what that actually is and what that provides us, I don't know that we get a ton of benefit. So I think I'm going to go for it. But I think Windsor Castle might actually be the smarter one. Now, for this, we're short on our gold leaves and workers, but really nothing else. So I might just stand pat for a moment and wait to start building this. And maybe while we're doing that, we'll take a look and unlock Oxford as well. We don't have enough blueprints for this yet. And with that in mind, let's see if we have another upgrade for our architectural office. We don't, but we do have another faction that wants to move in. And I said I only wanted one of the kinds that we don't have multiple of already. We're going to roll with it because we need people. But our next upgrade, it's again, people is our limitation. So with that in mind, I think we just kind of have to wait for a moment. And we're almost there with workers, but we have another faction that wants to move in. You better believe we're going to accept them. And it's amazing. Our limiting factor here has been 100% people. It's not anything else. So as soon as we build this, we should be able to actually at this point unlock Oxford. And I'm guessing our limiting factor there again will be people. Oh, and there we go. So let's build Notre Dame. And I think I want to build this thing a ways away. And look at this. We can put this right in the forest. And could you imagine a better spot than overlooking the water like this? Let's give it a go. 500 cycles. Whoa, we've got to build this other wonder as quickly as we can. And we are short literally everything now. So if this is it is 500 cycles. Oh my goodness. So I'm worried that if we don't start building this soon enough, we won't be able to finish it. We're absolutely going to build Notre Dame, but we need to focus on Oxford basically immediately. And I might place that on the other side of the lake. Now, we could also build these other buildings, but the workers are probably our biggest limitation. But by adding cultural buildings, maybe we attract them to the community. So we're going to give it a shot. And I believe that this building right here is for commerce people, but I don't really know how to tell. Some of these clearly stated, and this one doesn't. So let's build the Malice, and we'll just start to load this entire area up with cultural buildings. And I think for this one, I've really wanted the gap to get filled, so I'll build this right over here. We could also build a university again. I think I may do that. Let's see if we have any more educational factions. No more over here, but lots over here. Maybe we'll try to bring them and coax them over here. But first, another faction. This one is another one of our commerce-minded factions. Welcome to the city. And now we'll build a wheelwright's workshop. So I'm going to add this one way over here and attempt to bring people in again. Actually, we'll wrap it around this building, which I think will look pretty cool. Now, I just noticed that we are out of clay, and that makes me a bit worried. So if we can improve this at all, we're going to. And that does give us a bit more clay. We have another faction that wants to move in. We will accept them with open arms. And for this one, I will decommission it. But that's going to take us workers, which we don't have. So we can't even decommission this thing. Now we can finally. Okay, so I'm going to build another quarry to mine for clay. I guess we may be able to get away with one if we add a proximity building. And then after that, we add our quarry. And that is going to work out really well for us. I couldn't place the building, and it's because apparently we have a ruin right here, which I haven't seen before. So we can repair this or demolish it. I'm going to repair it, and then I'm going to once again attempt to place our quarry, but we're going to have a less favorable location as a result. Now, interestingly, it looks like this ruin is a cultural place, and it's now going to attract people over here to live. I think this place is undesirable enough that maybe that won't happen, but that's very interesting. If we find more of those ruins, you better believe we're going to uncover them. And again, we have another faction, and we are going to accept them in. They are the exact same kind that we've been looking for, and it'll bring us to an equilibrium, at least in terms of the number of factions. I have been noticing, though, we actually have cultural points, and I'm wondering how much this has to correspond with the population of those factions. Not 100% sure, but I'm going to try to figure that out. Now, in terms of building Oxford, we've got two limiting factors right now. It's our tiles, which is directly impacted by our clay, and it's also our workers. So we've been upgrading this quarry, which is going after clay over and over and over again. It's now maxed out. So all we should have to do is wait, and then we can build Oxford. And I was noticing that we are not building tiles very quickly. And that makes me wonder if we need to take a look at our tilery. And this is a level 1 building. So let's go ahead and upgrade. And my goodness, it doesn't take much of anything. We can go to level 2 relatively quickly, and 3. And that's going to really improve our output. We could even go beyond that, but I just don't know that it makes sense just yet. So let's upgrade these a couple of times. I'm getting very worried about the number of cycles that we have. Oh no, we just passed it. We don't have enough cycles to build another wonder. Oh my goodness, that kills me. So this really disturbed me, and I decided to redo this entire video in an effort to build Oxford. Here's the net result of that entire endeavor. Oh my goodness, I'm doing the math, and we are going to be a couple of cycles short of being able to build Oxford. I cannot believe this. I did the math just a little bit wrong. Oh my goodness, and this is all because we were short some of our resources. This game is really challenging. It honestly makes me want to play again though. Now, though this was incredibly frustrating, it was also very fun. I learned a lot in the second run, like some of the other know-hows that improve building speed, which didn't help. I still missed it. But I feel like I learned a lot about the game, and all of this makes me want to play again, even though I technically lost out on the wonders both times. Now, upon realizing that I wasn't going to build Notre Dame, I decided to pursue building a whole bunch of stuff in the city, a whole bunch of cultural buildings, some walls, using our urban planning office to increase the density and get more people in the city. And honestly, this was all in pursuit of trying to maximize the score. Knowing that there are no other ages after this, I just wanted to max out the score as best as I could. Now, I'm not sure if this gameplay mechanic is something that developers are going for, you spamming buildings at the end, but I'll tell you what, it is effective. And then we're rounding our last few cycles before we move on to our score. So I thought I'd take them to admire how large the city has gotten. We've got over 12,000 inhabitants now. It's a really impressive, really nice looking city. We did manage to get through this valley, but we never connected the two of these. And there's a plague in our old city, so we've got that going for us. And we've reached the end of medieval times and the end of early access. It says, here ends your destiny. For now, we've reached the end of the Middle Ages. So we've got to wait for the next updates to get more info. That said, we do get our score, 67 out of 100. That doesn't feel good. That's because we only built one wonder. But look at this. Our cultural influence level is maxed out. Our downtown level is a 4 out of 5. Service buildings, we got them all. Faction trust, not great. Still not sure how to improve that. But our all ages score is 133 out of 200, which feels like a failure. Now, after completing as much as I can in this game, here's my verdict. I've actually really enjoyed myself. Clearly, it's early access, and I'd say at the end of the second age, things start to break down a little bit. But still, this kind of hits me in that civilization spot where I just want to keep playing one more turn, where I want to start over after I've finished and keep trying to get better, keep trying new strategies. I feel like this game really pushes you towards that, and it's a ton of fun as a result. Now, if you decide to pick this game up, do know it's missing half of the ages. And bluntly, there are a couple of things like building the walls around the city that for whatever reason seem to tank my performance. So this is an early access title without a doubt. But you are on the ground floor, and this game is trying to do something completely different. So you have the opportunity to potentially influence its development and support a relatively new developer if you decide to go in that route. Ultimately, though, that choice is up to you. And I just hope that you've enjoyed watching me play this game. It's something that I've really enjoyed playing. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And I want to thank you so much for your time. There's a million things that you could have been doing. You decided to hang out with me and play some Memoriapolis. And I hope I said that right. That's another challenge with this game. I can't pronounce the name of it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.